All right, welcome. Thank you so much for watching again. And we're doing a fall series because the summer series was so well received. And my name is Ruth McKinney, and I'm here with one of my very dearest friends and sister. And I thought, what a wonderful subject to talk about at this particular time, particularly in our country, where differences cause such division. And I think one of the things that we want to talk about is how that we need to flip the script on that. And I wanted to ask Terri a couple of questions, but first she's going to kind of talk about how we got to know each other.
So I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. Fall is also about family, you know, and I think it naturally you just come together because of all the holidays, and you're great at bringing people together. So I am Terri Matthews and have had an opportunity to meet Ruth McKinney. Interesting enough, I live down the street from her and we never ran into each other at the grocery stores, at school pickup lines. Although our kids were in different schools, we still crossed paths, or should have. And interesting enough, we would meet later on. We actually met at a women's conference, and
she was the keynote speaker, and we were all having dinner with her later. And she had nowhere to go during the time because she wasn't living here anymore. And I invited her to my home.
Like literally.
Literally.
She
I
was
said,
just
come
like,
have
come
some
on.
cookies at my house. So,
and only the way that Ruth can do it, I ended up at her house by the fireplace in the kitchen, and we just began to share and swap stories. And I think at that particular moment, even though we knew that our lives were different, there was a lot of similarities that we had, desires as moms, as women, as wives, and specifically as Christian women, where there were things that we related to one another. But on the outside, there's obvious differences. And so it would be interesting that we would discuss things. And there were things that she had in her life, being a stay-at-home mom now. I mean, she's an awesome lawyer and practiced and took the time to raise her children. And where for me, I was a working mom. I was a CEO. I owned companies.
okay, but can you go back even before that? And I don't want you to have to be totally transparent. You might not want to do that here. But even our growing up was different.
Oh, 1000%.
I mean, when I tell you our lives were as different as night is from day, as different as night is from day.
Right.
And she grew up.
So let me just say this.
I don't know what you want to share or not share. So that's kind of where, you know.
Totally
I
okay.
know.
So let me say this.
What's the name of your next book?
The Product of a Pimp and a Prostitute.
Okay.
So interesting enough, statistics would say that I shouldn't even live down the street from Ruth. I grew up with a lot of adversity. Both of my parents addicted to drugs, the oldest of 7. And so grateful to God that now I do know this, that adversity is the reason why it has shaped me, and it has been part of my purpose to help individuals find their own and really heal and deal with the issues of our hearts. But I'll say to you, what was interesting was we were night and day. I mean, had this been when we were in our 20s, we probably would have never even crossed paths. But interesting enough, going through the challenges that I had with my parents, culturally, you grow up a specific way. I came from the joke, if you guys ever listen to Jennifer Lopez, Jenny from the block, I was Terri from the block. And so it was a different situation for me to have to go through particular things in my life that caused so much struggle, from homelessness. There was definitely food scarcity at some times, sleeping from motels to outdoors. I mean, it was a variety of things.
But becoming a mom at
18. I was in college, but I became a mom at 18. And it's interesting that both Ruth and I later on, even once we met, would identify so many things that we were similar, yet still different. Like, I'm sitting in this lovely chair that Ruth has. Both of us love furniture, consignment. We'll take old things and make old things new things. But I think in our different ways, we learned to do that, even though our backgrounds were different.
And when I met her, you need to understand, here she is, I mean, dressed to the nines, on the stage, as polished as any person I've ever met, having conversations. She has started institutes around the world. She's written books. She has started and built so many companies, from healthcare to restaurants. I mean, it is big and wide. Then she married an NFL player who played for the 49ers. I mean, I'm telling you, it's not even the formative years that are different. It was our entire lives were different.
Yeah.
So here I was sitting in the audience looking at you going, there is nothing we would have in common.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what was so beautiful for me, it wasn't about even trying to find something we had in common. It was celebrating how different we were and what each one brought to the table. I don't know.
So, you know what was interesting? I want to take it all the way back to your book. So if you have not received this book, you need to get it. So the Hungry for Home book, it was just a manuscript at the time, you know, and I'm fast forwarding and I know we're jumping around. We'll have to share our real story.
In longer than a 15-minute clip.
But what was interesting is, just like she said, we were so different. And I think we both had our own thoughts about that. Here I am thinking she's a stay-at-home mom, 5 kids. I'm busy and all over the world.
Suburbia.
Yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with
No,
that.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it, but it's different.
It is different. And
Yeah.
so, you know, what was interesting is the more we spoke, the more I realized that we both needed each other for different reasons. And I think what Ruth showed me, even in her, what I like to call is her, she describes family value. She's like one of the definitions for family value. And I began to cry because one of the things that I realized, I was the mother who was the CEO, super busy and super guilty for it. And so I would, you know, negotiate with my kids that we're going to Disney World, right? Just hang tight. Mom's going to close these deals. We're going to Disney World. And Ruth was like, in her book, we blow up balloons and write note cards and place them on the door. And I didn't realize how simple, but yet impactful those types of things were, which, by the way, we now do note cards on the door. And
Okay, you're going to make me
balloons.
cry because, you know, Terri was the first person I gave the manuscript to in the book. And actually, Lee, her husband, called me and said, Terri's come to bed 3 nights in a row crying, reading your book. Terri doesn't cry and she doesn't read home books. So she has been probably one of those people in my life who encouraged me to even do it all. So
Well,
I want to say thank you.
Same.
Because you've believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You've encouraged me, and I just think we need to celebrate and love people who
Absolutely.
have different opinions about things. I mean, you and I have had discussions about that.
Yes,
I think
we have.
you took us, and you know, it doesn't matter where it was, but it was to an event that had very different
Political views
or philosophical, like, and I went out of my love for you and wanting to know who you are better. And
Can I just say that's a real friend, by the way? Because this has happened in a sense for
your
both
husband
of
even
us.
called on the car and he goes, "Where are you taking them?"
So I think what's also important, because I think what people don't really understand is that we don't take time to get to know one another, right? We're so stuck in our ways. We have our own ideologies, the way that we've been raised, the experience that we've had. We're uncomfortable when it comes to really taking time to get to know someone. For me to come to a complete stranger's house and sit there, you know, and for us to share, and for you to even let a complete stranger come into your home. You know, I think that all of the discussions that we've had, even over the years, about the desires of our hearts, the way that we want to be great wives, the way that we want to raise our children, again, externally, we look different. Experience, we were different, but our hearts
Are the same.
And I, if we had not given each other that opportunity, I don't know where we would be. And as much as you feel like I've been supportive of you, you've been supportive of me. You help me understand that, hey, it's okay. And you can be a good mom and make cookies, and who cares that you have to read a recipe, and perfection and performance, especially being a CEO and being a female and a young CEO and then owning companies, sometimes you have to kind of show up a certain kind of way, and you let me know that it's okay. It's okay to show up. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything's not always in order. It's going to be okay. And in addition to that, you've spoken to my heart in particular ways that no one else has. And I love the fact that you are so family focused. I love that you have the word bless as your family mantra. I have a family mantra. It wasn't blessed. But I will say this. I think that the one thing that our country is missing is authentic, real relationships. And we've also had hard discussions.
Hard discussions.
And I think the thing is that no one wants to do that because everybody wants to stay stuck in their ways and what's familiar and what's comfortable. And so I just want to challenge the audience out there to be intentional, to get a chance to know someone with different experiences and backgrounds. You have no idea the blessing that's on the other end. We have been a blessing in each other's lives.
Our families, our children.
Yeah.
And so that's what we wanted to say today is take the time to get to know somebody who doesn't look like you, have the same background as you, isn't someone you would gravitate towards if you walk into a room because they seem different. Because the blessing on the other side is beyond what you can even imagine. So thank you for taking the time, and